I had a comment from a guy who comments quite frequently in my comments section. A lot of times he's commenting very negatively about women and saying how like dating sucks, dating apps suck, women are crazy, they don't know what they want. And so I try to answer those questions on here because I once had those same exact thoughts. And I found that by having those negative thoughts about women, it didn't allow me to have the success I wanted. Because here's the thing, guys, your brain cannot hold two thoughts that are opposite of each other and then help you get what you want. So if you're saying women suck ass, and then you're still putting yourself out on the dating market, your brain doesn't know whether to help you hate women or to help you get women. If you're trying to get women, it's not to say you can't ever look at women's actions negatively, because that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm saying when it seems like your overall agenda is that you just hate women and there's, oh, look at this proof, they did this thing, they're just crazy, this and that. You can do that till the cows come home. You will continue to stay single, even as you're trying to go out there. Because on one hand, you're saying women suck, but I want to go date one. Oh, see, this is proof that women's, and then your confirmation bias is going to just help you do things that make you prove to yourself that women continue to suck, even as you try to date them. So I like to answer those questions on here for you guys because I was once in this negative space and I was able to get out of it. And that took a lot of work. But, you know, I'm at the point now where it's like, I don't really view women in a negative light. I think some of the things that they do, I don't understand. And even then, some of the things that I do understand, I'm still like, but you still shouldn't be doing that. But that doesn't make me hate them or make me think less of them just because they think differently and operate differently than me. So all that to say, this guy's comment was, because I do a lot of advice on here talking about, you know, how women are and like, you know, the things that they need and how they think about things and how you as a guy need to show up in order to attract them. So he said, the amount of mental gymnastics that men play to cater to a woman's fragile feelings is unbelievable. If I like you, I'll pursue you. If I came across as needy, that's her problem, not mine. Now, saying that, I'm not going overboard, but I refuse to walk on eggshells. If I go on a date and I really enjoyed my time, I'll let her know probably the next day. And if I come across as needy, that's her problem. She needs to fix herself, then return to the dating scene. So this is a way that I used to think about dating, where it's like, well, if I'm doing a thing and she doesn't like it, she should like what I'm doing. And therefore, she's the one that needs to fix herself. And here's the thing, and this is what I always tell you guys, right? It's one thing if you come across one girl and you try a thing one time and she doesn't like it and you're like, okay, that's an outlier, she's crazy. If you try to date like 10 women doing the same thing and the same tactics, and each time you get a negative result, it's not the woman, it's your tactics. And we get so stuck on how we are and how we're so great, and our egos will therefore say everything that we do, we have the best intentions of doing that thing. And therefore, because it's what I like to do and it should work, then me calling the thing that I'm doing bad can't happen, because that makes me makes myself feel as though I'm being a bad person when really it's them. It's all about them and what their reaction is. So he says here, for example, if he goes on a date and he really enjoys his time, he'll probably let her know the next day, probably text her, hey, just so you know, I had a great time on that date. Now, I used to do that. And I found that doing that usually resulted in women starting to lose interest. And it wasn't just with one woman. Again, if I had said to one woman after our date, hey, just so you know, again, I had a great time, blah, 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 and then she went away, and that was the only woman that reacted that way, I could very well be like, okay, that woman's just cuckoo. She can't take a compliment. All these rules about dating, I don't have to follow them because she whatever, right? I did it to like 4 or 5 women, and they all start to lose interest. Because I found later on, surprise, surprise, women don't need you to confirm to them that you had a good time. You're the guy. You paid for it. And you got to look at some hot boobies for 2 hours and smell it, somebody that smells nice. Chances are you probably had a good time. But more importantly, you telling her the next day that you had a good time, that goes into the thing of you are looking like somebody that is a little bit needy, because you should already be you should be so confident that you gave her a good time that you shouldn't have to tell her that you had a good time, because women know that you're telling them you had a good time. So that way you'll get confirmation back from them that the time that you showed them was also a good time. And that does not show off confidence. Now, again, you as a guy can be mad about that and wish that it would work. And you could say, if a woman gets mad for me doing that, that's her problem and she needs to fix whatever. If you find that the majority of women you're going out with are responding this same way, it's not women, okay? And so this is where we have to get rid of the idea that just because we like doing certain things in the dating realm of things, that we should continue to do it even if women don't like it because we feel as though it should work. You really need to study up on like female dynamics and looking up things that attract women, what turns off women. I got a whole book you can get at my website right now for whatever price you want to pay this month that'll teach you all the ins and outs of not only the things you should not be doing, but why those things that we think should work actually cause women to head for the hills. This is one of those things. So he also says that if I like you, I'll pursue you. If I come across as needy, that's a problem, not mine. But this gets into what does your pursuit look like? Is it the kind of pursuit where you're constantly texting, constantly calling, constantly trying to invite her out, constantly being in her presence? Are you constantly emoting feelings? Like, what does that mean? Because if you're doing those things that I just talked about, then you're going to get bad results from most women. And so again, we got to look at as a whole. If you're doing things that 9 out of 10 women are saying they don't gel with, then it's not them. At that point, it very much is you not knowing the processes, or you know that you've heard the processes that are more effective, but your ego is not allowing you to take that in and say, I'm going to try those things. Your ego is still stuck on, but no, the way I am is totally fine. And so I'm going to keep doing these things. And this is why I say, as a guy, you need to learn to be indifferent. And you need to learn to not get so butthurt when you discover that things you're doing in dating are not working. I had plenty of things back in the day that I did that I'm like, women should like this. Women should be able to take a kind gesture or accept flowers or be able to accept a gift from me and not think that there's an ulterior motive or feel like I'm being needy or whatever. It doesn't matter what your intention is. It matters how they're taking it. And so again, you got to look at your results. If the majority of things you're trying are getting you negative results, then you could say till the cows come home, well, that's a woman problem. Yes, all of those women had a problem with the thing that you're doing. It's not the women, it's you. And so I don't say this to be harsh to you, Guy, because you've commented quite frequently on my various videos talking about the negative things of women and how they, dating apps suck because all women just want the same chaz, blah, 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 blah. None of doing that helps you get women. Like, it's fun. It's fun to complain about women. It's fun to be like, oh, the other team sucks and they're just bad at whatever. Like, it's fun, but it doesn't get you results if you're trying to get women in terms of a positive capacity. Like, because women are going to feel the energy. Women are going to see you on a date, and women read into us so well. They can read the guys that have a bit of a chip on their shoulder when it comes to women. They can read the guys that don't know what they're doing with women and are going to mess this up. They can tell the guys that are hitting them up and say, I had a great time on the date, and feel the neediness coming off of that text. They are intuitive greatly in that way. And so you have to learn, okay, if they're intuitively reading this off of me, then maybe, just maybe, it's not them. Maybe I have some work to do on my end to where I'm not so bitter towards women. And hey, I get it. The older you get, if you've been not very successful with women, then the older you get, it only compounds and feels worse and worse to where you get to like 40 something or 50 something. And your whole viewpoint is like, up to this point in my life, women have always been against me and sucked. And therefore it's always them. And regardless of what age you're at, if you just take the lens off of all women suck and look at, but realistically, what things have I been bringing to the table that just maybe women don't gel with? And then once you figure out those things and you listen to these podcasts, you get the books, whatever, you'll start to see, okay, it may feel uncomfortable at first, but there's a different way that I can show up that women are going to appreciate more. So maybe Harry's crazy. I think he's crazy for saying, I can't text him the next day and tell him I had a good time. But what if I just try it? Maybe doing that will result in her reaching out to me. Because I can tell you from personal experience, at the point that I stopped reaching out to women to say, hey, I had a good time on this date, because I was really doing that to get from them that I did a good job. And that's not fair to put on that person, because we're looking for intel early on that we did the right stuff. But I always tell you guys, the way you know that you did a good job on the previous date is when you ask for the next date and she says yes. That is how you tell, right? But I found when I stopped doing that, you know what happened is I would tell a girl at the end of the date, I tell at the end of the date, it was nice meeting you, hugs, get home safe. I wouldn't say things like, let's do this again. We should plan another date. I would do none of that. I would give no indication at the end of any date that I wanted to see this person again. And you know what happened? I would get home, say the date ended at like 9 o'clock. Fast forward to 11:30, like clockwork from women. Hey, Harry, just want you to know again, I had such a great time. You were so great. Oh my God, I did no work. And that happened so much. I was like, okay, this is better to do. This is better than me having to temporarily get my ego fed by reaching out in hopes that she's going to give me a pat on the head for doing a good date. You did a good job. And so I found that not doing that got me better results. So again, I could be mad and I could have been mad and been like, oh, but no, I need to reach out to them. And if they don't like it, then, I'm going to be mad and that's their problem. It doesn't help you get results. I'm just trying to help you get results. So if you don't want to try what I'm talking about, you don't have to. I don't know why you're in my comments then continuing to like try to combat me about this stuff, but I'm more than happy to continue answering your questions or like, responding back to those in kind. But suffice to say, Guy, you have to learn at the point where it's like, it's not just all women. And this also boils up to like how you're appearing, how you're approaching. Are you showing up on dates like dressed to the nines? Are you just kind of dressed like a slob? You doing your hair right? Like, what are you doing to make yourself be approachable and be the kind of guy that when women first see you is like, oh my God, you got to look at all that stuff and then decide if you're doing a good job of that in a real way, or if you've been slouching a little bit and can maybe work on some things, And that's just some stuff for you to consider on your own.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning.